Hywel Williams.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The Minister began his contribution this afternoon with the good news about unemployment. He made the case for giving the full picture. Well, this is a message for both the front bench on that side, who have overall charge of the economy, and the front bench on this side, who have mainly charge of the economy in Wales. In the last quarter, unemployment in Wales went up by 8,000. That indeed is the full picture. I welcome this motion this afternoon. The bedroom tax is one of the most ill thought out policies to come about in this Parliament, probably since the poll tax, and I think it should be abolished with immediate effect. The under-occupancy penalty, if we must call it that, has been applied to about 500,000 people. More than 60% of those have a disabled member, and the vast majority of whom have absolutely no hope of downsizing in order to avoid the penalty. In fact, in Wales, 35,000 households have been affected. Many of these people were allocated current homes a very long time ago, and they are homes. I think that is a very important point. They're homes, not properties, not houses. It's where people live and have lived for a very long time. Before the bedroom tax was first proposed, I asked the then Minister what assessment had been made of the elasticity of the local housing supply in the private sector in Wales. I asked, had they thought about this beforehand? Tellingly, the answer was none. The government's motive was to cut. People could neither move nor take in a lodger. No attempt was made to prepare people to move to smaller houses if needed. This was and is a ruthless money-saving exercise. Those of us who warned against the implications of the bedroom tax beforehand and opposed it from the very start take absolutely no pleasure in saying, we told you so, but that is the case. Ministers now have been keen to point to the discretionary housing payment and to say that this fund is helping to fill the gap. Well, the average DHP funding per head in Britain is £2.83. In Wales, it is £2.51 per head, in marked contrast to other comparable areas, the north east of England, £2.80, Scotland, £5.39, a point I will return to slightly later. Ministers have sought to reassure us by saying that the DHP fund will receive an extra 40 million in the next year. Well, given that rents are rising again, I have some doubts as to whether this will fill the gap. And of course, as has already been said, it is not long-term funding. Now, looking back to early 2011 and the Welfare Reform Bill, now the Welfare Reform Act, I do note that the Labour Party abstained on the second reading, and that action speaks for itself. In early 2013, it was left to Plaid Cymru, the SNP and the Green Party to use one of our very few opposition debate slots to put forward a debate on the bedroom tax, and then forced a vote on its abolition. That was down to this party, to the SNP and to the Green member. Then, early in 2014, when finances allowed it, the SNP Scottish Government implemented a top-up from its budget in order to mitigate the effects of the bedroom tax. The government in Scotland, voted for by the people of Scotland, was protecting its people from the worst excesses of Westminster government, the government that they did not vote for. Many of us in Wales naturally turned to our own devolved governments to see what they would do, but it was again up to Plaid Cymru in the National Assembly to push for mitigation of the cuts to council tax benefits, thanks to my colleague Rodri Glyn Thomas AM. Labour could have recognised that the bedroom tax was affecting the most vulnerable and implement mitigation measures, but they chose not to do so. They did in fact choose to allocate some money to build smaller houses. 357 houses in all of Wales, to be precise. 35,000 households are affected by the spare room subsidy. The Welsh Government could have implemented a no evictions policy. They chose not to do so. Now, leaving aside all of that, I think the people of Wales can see quite clearly that it is Plaid Cymru in Wales and the SNP in Scotland and the Green Party who have led on this matter, and they will act accordingly at the election.